What is up, guys? It is TJAI, and sorry for the long layoff, but ultimately I've had things that I've had to deal with in real life, so I had to put YouTube on the back burner. However, I am back and I will be delivering as much content as I can from everything that I've learned from the experiences that I've had over the past few months, as well as some of the work that I've been doing with clients and certain changes within the AI industry that I want to share with you guys so that you guys can learn and be able to apply this to your businesses and to your own applications. So today, I'm going to be showing you how you can connect specific LLM. You can connect LLMs to specific API endpoints in Stack, which allows you to essentially answer any query for almost any data that's out there on the internet, whether it's, football matches or, any kind of sports, or whether it's, financial data, travel data. This will be super useful for things like travel agencies or any kind of info business, or even if you want to produce newsletters or things like that. So there's so many use cases in using custom APIs inside of Stack, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how you can do it with very minimal effort so that you can get straight into this kind of setup whereby, essentially the opportunities are endless. So going straight into it, the first thing that we're going to want to do, and by the way, if you don't know how to use Stack, you should go to my other videos on this channel where I go over exactly how you use Stack and all the different nodes, what they do, and how you get those outputs. But this is for people who already know how to use Stack, so if you don't, this isn't the video for you. Okay, so here what we're doing is essentially connecting a number of APIs to these LLMs. So what you need to do first is go down to actually no. So the first thing is you can only use one endpoint per LLM. So what happens is you go to plugins, you select custom API, and then when you select that custom API, you then connect that into one of your LLMs. You typically just be using OpenAI, and you'll find that inside here. So you just pick that here, select GPT-4 Turbo, and then inside the actual LLM, here you'll see this is just your regular prompt and telling it to use this specific tool, and make sure you double the curly braces, otherwise it's not going to work, to get that information, and then respond to the user input with air routing instead of in. Now the reason I'm doing air routing is because, like I said, you can't actually use more than one endpoint with each custom API connected to an LLM. So for example, this specific API is for the current weather in any place. It's a free API from weatherapi.com, and you can only connect one custom API to each LLM. So that means if I want to get forecasted data, I then have to create a different LLM, or with this one right here, where this one is connected to the forecast endpoint. So as you can see here, this is the actual explorer for Weather API. You can see here you have current and then you have forecast. So two different things. And you can see from the URL here that they are two different things. And I'll get into exactly how you go through each part of the API. But yeah, so then from here, you then combine it using the combiner, which is all found inside of Logic. So the router here takes the user's input, and then if it's 0, which is forecasting data, it goes to this LLM here. And if it's 1, it goes to this LLM here, which is current weather data. And then once these LLMs have produced their response, it then combines it into this LLM here using GPT-4o, where it takes, so depending on the API you're using, you either get a JSON output or you get the text output that you're looking for. Some work very differently depending on how their API systems are set up. But here I'm essentially saying take the JSON output and then respond to the user's query in a way that that is natural and conversational. So and then you get an output like this, right? So I'm just going to test it out very quickly, and then I'm going to walk you through exactly how you can use the custom API tool for any kind of API you want to connect it to. It's not exactly simple, but I will show you the shortcuts that I use that allow me to create this in about 5-10 minutes. So I'm just going to ask it, what is the weather like in Miami today? So then what it's going to do is it's going to go down to this one here. It's going to route and then it will produce over here. So here we go. In Miami today, the temperature is quite warm at 33.9 degrees. So let's just make sure we see if that's actually true. Yep, so 33, highs of 33. Okay, not bad. Partly cloudy, yeah. And it says here, it feels even hotter with a temperature of 38.5. So as you can see here, you can see that it's taken Miami and then it's used essentially this tool that we've told it to use in order to return the weather for Miami. So then I'm going to put here, what is the weather like for Miami tomorrow? So now this is forecasted data, and we'll see here we go. It's now looking at Miami for tomorrow, which is the 16th of May, as you will see here. And you'll see the output right here. Tomorrow in Miami, the weather will be quite warm. And we'll just double check that as well. Miami weather forecast. Yeah, so 34 degrees tomorrow, as it says. And yeah, patchy rain, humidity 60%, whatever the case might be. So you can imagine now, essentially, if I can add 2 or 3 more APIs, you can make this quite the sophisticated bot. You can imagine, let's say for example, you're looking at specifically, let's say, news data, and then you connect it to 50 different news sources. Now by going to the AI, you can always get the latest news from whatever sources that you're looking at. Of course, that's going to be quite convoluted with the way that this is set up, but in due time I will also be showing you how you can do this without using Stack, as with a much lighter weight system. But that's all in due time. So as you can see, that's how it's done. So this is how you actually get these custom API tools to work. So the first thing you're going to need is to put the method get and then params path. Now all of this data all of this information I'm actually getting from the Stack AI what do you call it? Let me go here. This is all inside the documents that they provide. There's a video here. You can see all these different, you can put get or post, but if you're trying to get data to show your users, you're going to be using get. And then you want the URL base path for the API. So you might be thinking, Tatenda or TJ, I don't really know what all of this is. Like, I just kind of want to copy and paste everything. Luckily for you, that's exactly what I do when I'm doing it, even though I understand the stuff, and this is how I do it. So typically what I do is I go into the API docs that I'm looking at, and let's say we're looking at the request parameters here. What you want to do is you literally just copy and paste all these request parameters, absolutely all of them, and I guess you can go down to where it says enterprise, because I don't have an enterprise account. And then you can copy and paste those, and then you could also copy and paste this entire page here, right? Actually, you'd want to copy and paste this one and then the other one, and I'll show you what I mean. And doing it inside Gemini. So the following, this is exactly what I wrote in Gemini, and you don't need Gemini Advanced even though I've got it, but you can use it. So the following is an instruction manual on how to do custom API calls on Stack AI platform, and then I copied that entire web page, and then the response doesn't actually matter. And then I wrote, can you return the exact command and example but for these API parameters? And then that's when I copied and pasted this entire thing. As you can see, all of this is just straight copy and pasting. I don't even bother to put in like the spaces, nothing. And then here we go. It produces a command for me in the exact same format as what is suggested by Stack. It provides the explanations for all the different API parameters, and then it provides the example, as you can see here. As we get you've got the URL, your command, your example, and your instruction. In this one, we don't have headers because we get this API key here. And I know you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, don't expose your API key. This is free. I don't have to pay for this. And on top of that, I get like 500,000, what do you call it? 500,000 calls. So even if you guys were to use it, I wouldn't care. This is just for a demo, but it is what it is. You know, nobody's going to be trying to steal it. They'll just be stupid. But so the next thing would then be to one moment, my battery's about to die. So next, you're gonna want to make sure that it's all in the right format. So I put here, I want the command, instruction, and example in detail and without any new lines. And that's important because Stack doesn't accept all the, doesn't accept this kind of spacing when it comes to its JSON syntax. So you want it all to be in line or in one line. And then, as you can see here, it's provided a detailed instruction. And yeah, that's everything that I used. And then I just literally copied and pasted that. As you can see here, this example, I took this example here. Where is it? So I took this command here, copied and pasted it into here. However, you want to make sure you keep the name as API, so you don't want to change this. Where it says API and API here, you don't want to change. Where it says name and API, you don't want to change. And as you can see, when I go to Gemini Advanced, it says weather, but you want to change this back into API. And then you've got the example here, like I pointed out, again, name, API, not weather, or not anything else that it's going to come up with. And then you can just copy and paste that. And then, as you can see here, it's the exact same thing, except I actually removed one called method because you can only use one endpoint for each LLM. So in doing so, okay. And then I got the detailed instruction, as you can see here. Detailed instruction. It tells you exactly what the this is where it tells the API, the AI, how you want to make these API calls. So this essentially this area here teaches the AI. Okay, when this kind of request is made, let's say, what kind of, what is it going to be windy tomorrow? Now it understands the specifics of what to put in the API call and what not to put in the API call as far as giving you a response. So this is extremely important as far as, getting that right. And you can just write that in just as if you're instructing a person on how to use that same API. And then with Invoke Tool, this is essentially an example of exactly how it's going to make that API call via OpenAI. So you want to make sure you get this right as well. So this is just an example so that it understands the syntax, the formatting, and then it will apply that with whatever kind of request that the user is going to need. And then with command, this is essentially going through all the different API parameters, pointing out whether or not they're optional or required, and on top of that, sometimes showing or giving the exact name or the purpose of that specific parameter. So with that, you can essentially make any API call so long as it's supported by that endpoint. And finally, with regards to the URL, let me go back to API Explorer here. Is it API Explorer? No. This would be... Okay, it'll be in docs. So this is your base URL. As you can see, that's the same that I have here. That's the base URL here. However, like I said, you can only use one endpoint per LLM, and technically within this the way that Weather API is set up, you should be able to change what endpoint you're using because it's actually inside of the parameters as to what endpoint you're using. But the API, but I haven't figured out a way. Maybe I don't know how to do it, but I can't get Stack to structure the URL correctly in order to get the data that we need. I can only really do it by specifying the base URL going all the way down to current.json, and then you'll see up here, you'll see one moment. You see up here it says forecast.json. So where I got that, and this might be useful to you, hence why I'm adding it. If you go to API Explorer, I'm just going to add my API key because, like I said, you could just make this for free. It really doesn't matter. Type that in here, your API key, JSON format. Let's just say I'm looking into Manchester. Show response. This will be the call that's made. However, this section does not automatically come up with Stack AI. It doesn't automatically add that. However, when you put in current.json, it then adds the rest of it just fine. Or when you click forecast, same thing, show response, you now get forecast.json, and that's absolutely fine. So, is there anything else that I have missed out? Yeah, so that's pretty much everything with regards to this specifically. And I'm going to be showing you guys some more make integrations that I've been able to use with some of my clients that have been extremely useful, as well as moving away a little bit from Stack, because I know that it is not the cheapest method. However, if you message me, I will give you some advice with regards to software to use privately, because there are some things that you can do to be able to get to use the best software. It's just not, yeah, just message me privately. All my details are in my description, and if you need help building AI automations or just help with regards to building out software, just shoot me a message, tj.ai on Instagram or _ I can't remember, or Tatenda Kenyeri on LinkedIn. It's been great talking to you guys after such a long time, and I'll see you guys in the next one.